Welcome back, FlyCorvair. Today I'd like to take a chance to speak with you about sources of information. 2020 is my 31st season in aviation, and over that length of time we've gathered a lot of information. Information is the hallmark of the Corvair world. I have always sought to teach people what they need to know, not tell them what they want to hear, which is a salesman's job. In the process of gathering all this information to share with people to make Corvair builders the smartest, most educated and intelligent owner-operators in experimental aviation, I've done a lot of different work through a lot of different sources. Frequently when we speak with someone, we find out that they haven't heard of a very important source of information. So today let's take a couple of minutes and go through these. First and foremost, we're speaking to you on the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel, FlyCorvair, is new for 2019. Less than a year old. We already have well over 1,000 subscribers and have about 60 videos on hand, and there will be many more to come. Video is an untapped resource that we're now getting into. When stories come out now, you'll primarily find out about them via video. We'll always still have written stories also with even greater detail, but video is an excellent communication tool. So make sure that you go and visit the YouTube channel and preferentially subscribe and turn on the notification bell. When we have information, it'll be coming out visually just like this, and you'll want to stay on top of that. The second new source of information and contact where a lot of discussion is going on is on our Facebook page. The Facebook page is also FlyCorvair. The Facebook page has a lot of people on it, and there's a lot of daily discussion going on there. Now, I of all people understand why people don't like Facebook, and I get it. But for people who are comfortable with Facebook, it is a very important resource. One of the things that I always detested about discussion groups in the general public was people use fake names like Flyboy26 and other BS they make up, and they hide behind that, and they make crappy comments and snarky stuff. On our Facebook page, that's eliminated. Any person who makes a comment, you can clearly look at their Facebook profile and find out who they are. It's an excellent deterrent to poor behavior. So, the tone of it's all positive. You can get to know people visually, and builders can share information and short videos with each other very, very readily. So it's an important resource, and I'd encourage you to check it out. If you haven't seen it and you're not a Facebook person, get a friend who's on Facebook and look at FlyCorvair Facebook page through their page and through their access, and take a look and decide for yourself. I think it's something that you'll want to be part of, even if you don't like all the other stuff on Facebook, and I understand absolutely disliking that. I wouldn't grant Mark Zuckerberg human being status. It's just a tool that we use. On the websites, the most classic page that we have is FlyCorvair.com. FlyCorvair.com has been around for 20 years. FlyCorvair.com was our main information page until about 10 years ago. FlyCorvair.com looks a bit dated in some ways, and it is. The appropriate way to look at FlyCorvair.com is it's the library. It is the resource of old classic information, some of which has changed, but a lot of it hasn't. And there are stories about early colleges and all sorts of information on there that's good, and we'll direct more people to it. But when you see FlyCorvair.com, think, here is the library of information that we have. Our second page is FlyCorvair.net. Think of FlyCorvair.net, which is my blog, as our basic newspaper. It gets updated a couple of times a week, a little less during really busy seasons or during holiday times, but it does sport about 200 news stories per year. Some of them are kind of newsy, some of them apply just to the times, some of them are classic thought for the day comments, but there's a lot of stuff, and that basically is the news resource. So if FlyCorvaircom is the library, think of FlyCorvair.net as a news broadcast of what's going on in the world of Corvairs. Now, in printed information, important stuff. We have a conversion manual. When somebody says, I have WW's manual, they better be talking about having this manual right here that we can see. This is a manual, even though it is dated 2014, it has been continuously updated. The major revision was in 2014. I'll occasionally get people saying, oh, I'm working with this and I picked it up from a builder or whatever. I have no problem working with second-hand builders, but you do have to have an up-to-date manual. I've gone over this plenty of times with people, and if you don't have a current conversion manual, like the one right here, you're not operating from serious information. You gotta have this to be on the same page with everybody else. All of my writing and all of the information assumes that you have a copy of the conversion manual. So I would encourage you to get one. They're readily available and they're not that expensive. The second manual that we have that was new for 2019 is the MOP manual, the Maintenance Operations and Procedures. Maintenance Operations and Procedures is the concise, exact set of operational instructions for your year with your Corvair motor. Tells you everything about operating it, tells you about maintaining it. It's not a building manual, it is sort of a pilot's operating handbook for the engine. You don't have to dig through a lot of stuff to find the information. Tells you exactly what the ignition settings are. It tells you what the fuel is. Tells you all sorts of important information that you need to know. Again, I want Corvair builders to be recognized absolutely as being the most knowledgeable operators of engines in the world of experimental aviation. Now that's not that hard because a lot of people out there choose to know nothing about the engine they're operating, and the accident statistics show you how that comes into play. But in the world of Corvairs, we're aiming a lot higher than that. I want my builders to really understand what they're doing. It's the route to safety. Nobody ever got hurt by knowing too much about the machine they were operating. So first and foremost, knowledgeable operators. And you can't be a knowledgeable operator if you don't have a MOP manual. It's critical that you have it. There's a lot of information on maintaining your own individual aircraft records in there. And there's a lot of procedures that are referenced. But this is very important. Anybody considering operating an aircraft with a Corvair engine in it, built to my specifications, that does not have a MOP manual, is not doing their due diligence. I can't say that seriously enough. There's something in there that when I speak to a guy on the telephone, maybe he has 20, 40, or 60 hours on his airplane, but I find out he doesn't have a MOP manual, I guarantee you there was something he missed. So for your own really good risk management program, you absolutely want to have a MOP manual. So take care of that if you haven't already. The other point that we always bring up is we have a sister publication. The sister publication is the SPA Assembly Manual. The SPA Assembly Manual is the origins of it were every engine in a box used to come with one of these. Dan and Rachel at SPA recognized that there was a lot of demand for this, and the actual assembly manual, which doesn't give you the hows and whys, but it does give you step-by-step instructions in color. Let's say you're a second owner of an airplane and you say, well, why would I need an assembly manual if I have an airplane that already has a running engine in it? Something quite as simple as changing a valve cover gasket is covered in great detail in the assembly manual. People say, well, I know how to change a valve cover gasket. There's specific sealants we use. There's all types of details in this. No one was ever harmed by knowing too much. Keep that in mind. All right? So if you have if you are an operator, this is an important manual, second only to a MOP manual. If you are a builder, I would consider this a mandatory piece of information. If you haven't read this stuff in advance of coming to a college, the time you spend at the college will not be as valuable. You need a force multiplier on it. So information, printed information, is the force multiplier. We have two important other resources that I refer to as the databases. The databases, one for Pietenpol builders, which is called FlyCorvair, and one for Zenith builders, which is called ZenVer. These started off as discussion groups a number of years ago. What they are today is less active, but they contain the individual builders' experiences. I would highly recommend, once you are a builder of mine, and you are building either one of these designs, a Pietenpol or a Zenith product, and you're putting a Corvair on it, I highly recommend that you get onto the database. I keep the information on the database off the open web. This means that it's private. It's not secret, it's private, because I have builders there and I want to know who's reading the information and I want to know who's putting it on there. This is reliable, solid information on weight and balance, how things were built, configurations of items, how much airplanes weighed, all of that. There are approximately 100 different airplanes on each database. The databases are run by two long-term Corvair builders and good friends of mine. Phil Maxon takes care of the Zenith database, the ZenVer base, and Terry Hand takes care of the Pietenpol base, Pietenpol. So if you're building either one of those designs, there's information, we'll list it below, on how to sign up for each of those databases. Again, they're not super active, but the information there is much more solid than almost any discussion group you'd run into on the internet. When you're looking at a design like the Pietenpol, I have the Pietenpol Weight and Balance Manual. If you are building any Pietenpol, regardless of what engine is on it, you should have a Pete Weight and Balance Manual. Put a lot of work into this. This represents a lot of years of commitment to making sure that builders have the best information available. I also do calculations for people, and we'll have more videos on that in the coming year. But this is important stuff. So even if you're not putting a Corvair motor on your Pietenpol, utilize this resource. I'm primarily focused on what Corvair builders need, but I don't ignore what other builders need and information that we can help out with. One of the underutilized resources is builders don't call me enough. There's an impression that I have hundreds and hundreds of phone calls coming in every day. This really isn't true. In the world of Corvairs, I work with 40 or 50 new builders a year, and we have maybe 200 being shepherded through the process, and we have lots of guys who've all graduated and operate their aircraft. But the numbers aren't that big, and this is a full-time job for me. So, if you have a question, don't hesitate to call or text me on my number. The number will be listed below. But contacting me directly can solve an awful lot of stuff. I frequently return phone calls in the evening, and I have the time to speak to builders at great length. It always blows my mind when somebody contacts me after buying an airplane secondhand, after paying $1,000 for a core motor. They feel that they couldn't contact me until they got in the game. If you want to know the easy door to get into the game, give me a call. You got an airplane idea, some installation, you want to know more about it, utilize the resource that you can get me on the telephone. Almost any evening, Monday through Friday, is perfectly fine. I actually answer calls up until 10 p.m., sometimes midnight. But make sure that if you got a question, that you get an answer for it. Don't guess. Finally, the last type of information that we do is in person. Now, I cover a couple of air shows a year. We're always going to be at Oshkosh. Without a doubt, have the entire collection of information there, spend the entire week. You're welcome to come and hang out 24/7 if you want to. This is an important way to learn stuff. I also attend the Broadhead Pietenpol gathering every year. We also go to the Zenith Open House every year in September. On alternate years, I actually attend Sun and Fun, and in 2020 I will be at Sun and Fun most of the week. So there are ways to get in touch with us at air shows. I also attend the DeLand Aircraft Showcase, which takes place in November. In addition to these types of shows, importantly, we have the Corvair colleges. Over the years, I've held 43 major Corvair colleges and about a dozen smaller ones. There will be many more major Corvair colleges. One of the trends that we're seeing is that people want to attend smaller colleges closer to their house. And we'll have more information on this later on in the year. For example, there's a college in the planning in Yuma, Arizona, and other locations, and we've had a planning process going on for one in Ohio. And there'll always be more big colleges. In addition to the big colleges, we have finishing schools. We've been running finishing schools for years. If you have a Corvair, and particularly an engine-in-the-box Corvair, and you want to assemble and test run that, that's what we do at finishing schools. At major colleges, we've run as many as 20 engines at a crack in a long college, and that's good. But the finishing schools bring an intensity to them of having 3 to 5 builders in an intense program where we can put the rest of your engine together with you and bring the direct education there. Additionally, I run small training seminars from 1 to 3 people at a time here at my own personal hangar. And this is available also. In summary, everything that I'm doing in aviation is about how to transfer my experience to you so you can be a knowledgeable owner, operator, and a builder of these engines. Like I said, the main thing that's important to me is that Corvair engine builders and operators keep our reputation as the best educated and most intelligent operators with the best decisions in operating their aircraft and power plants. That's my goal, and how we do that is the information that we have available through all the resources that I've listed here, available to everybody. So please take advantage of it. It was an awful lot of work to put it there. I've had the contributions of countless friends assisting me in this. Please take advantage of it. Thanks very much. And again, if you utilize content like this, make sure that you're not missing any of it. Take a moment and subscribe and turn on the notifications for the channel. Thanks, and we'll see you out on the flight line in 2020.